Okay, in this video, we are going to be talking about natural harmonics. We're going to be detailing how to play them, where to play them, what notes are available to us, and an organized approach to memorizing your entire fretboard with the natural harmonics. So let's first start off by talking about how to play them. When you go to play a harmonic, you want to be actually over the piece of metal of that specific fret. The easiest way to remember this is the fact that you start with a nut and then you go to a piece of metal, which is the fret. It's easy to understand that this is the first fret because there's only one piece of metal. This is the nut. Where it gets confusing is when you start to go further into the neck where you're surrounded by the pieces of metal. So just remember that in the same way that there is a nut and then a fret, is that if I asked you to go to the 12th fret, you would go to the 12th space and then you would go to the piece of metal that is closest to the body. Now, when we go to do this, we want to lightly touch the string with our finger over the top of the piece of metal. In this case, it is the 12th fret. When we do this, we want to be able to remove our finger to allow the note to sustain. If we keep our finger on there, the note will drop off very quickly. Versus if I take my finger away, the note sustains out. Now, with how to play harmonics out of the way, let's talk about where to play harmonics. So we've got the 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, 12th fret, 16th fret, 19th fret, and if you've got a 24th fret, the 24th fret. This is going to be a repetitive process on each one of the strings. Sometimes it's not directly over the fret. Sometimes, especially the 3rd fret, you need to be just a little bit into the fret. So if you go directly over the fret, it's not going to come through as clear. So you're going to have to be a little bit over the fret, like that. Now, a couple of things to watch out for is that it's not just about where you play, it's about how you play. And if you're on an electric guitar, you're going to find that different pickup selections might have the harmonic come through more. So if I'm on the neck pickup, it might come through, but listen to how clear it is when I hit the bridge pickup. It's much clearer versus the neck pickup. It still comes through, but it's a lot more cutting and defined. So just be aware of that. What I like to do is I like to throw it into the bridge pickup and then roll my tone knob off a little bit so it's not as harsh. And every single one of the notes come through. Also, it's not just about your pickup selection and not just about where you play here, but also where you play here. What I have found is that there's a sweet spot on each guitar, but I usually find that it's right in front of the bridge pickup. Let's do a little bit of a sonic test for that. So let's say I start playing the 3rd fret of the D, which is really tough to hit. You can hear that it actually becomes a lot clearer as you go closer to the bridge. Now that was with my fingernail, I'm going to play with my pick. So you can hear it becomes more defined the further you go back. Now if you go too far back, it loses a lot of its thickness and becomes kind of really thin sounding. So you got to play a little bit of a balance. And you know what? A lot of this is going to be more taste, like what you want and what it takes to be able to get that note to come through. Now all of that said, let's go over what notes are available to us. I'm going to assume that you already understand some of this theory, but if you don't, stay tuned into the back half of the video and I'll do a little bit of an explanation for some of the theory jargon that we're talking about. Now, the easiest way to memorize this is that each string, being E, A, D, G, B, and high E, are going to have their respective major triad on each string. So the E string will have the E major triad. The A string will have the A major triad. The D string will have the D major triad. The G string will have the G major triad. The B string will have the B major triad. And the high E, again, will have the E major triad as well. In the handout that I've created, you're going to notice that there are shapes. Each of these shapes are going to represent a specific interval. The circle is going to represent the 1. The triangle is going to represent the 3, and then your square is going to represent the 5. So you should be able to find all of your specific intervals across your fretboard very easily. So let's detail what the notes are. With the E major triad on the E string, I'm going to start with the low E string, you're going to have an E, a G sharp, and a B. You can easily find those on the 5th, the 4th, and the 3rd fret. That is going to be the 1, the 3, and the 5 of the E major scale. You can find the exact same concept on each of your strings. So the A string is going to have the A major chord. That is going to be the A, the C sharp, and the E. On the D string, you have a D, F sharp, A. On the G string, a G, a B, and a D. And the B string will have a B, a D sharp, and an F sharp. Then, last but not least, the high E string will have the same thing as the low E string. That would be an E, a G sharp, and a B. Now that is just the 5, the 4, and the 3. There are other options for your major triad, specifically in the order of 1, 3, 5. You can continue across your fretboard, and it gets a little bit weird because some of the order of the octaves are not sequential. So you're going to have some octave jumping in there. 5, 4, 3, 5, 9, 7, 12, 9, 7, 12, 16, 19, and your 24, 16, 19. You can follow this same exact pattern on the A string. D string. G string. B string. And last but not least, the high E string. And there you have all the notes available to you and the orders in which you can find them in an easy fashion on each string. In the videos to come, we're going to get into all the nitty-gritty of what scales are available to us, what chords we can play, what keys we can play in, the limitations of our octaves of these harmonics, and also stagnant notes that make it to where we're limited in the sequence in which we play in those octaves. Okay, this is going to be a detailed explanation as to where it is that we get our major triad from. So we're going to start off here with the chromatic scale, which is our musical ABCs. It's essentially going to be all the notes available to us on a piano. It's our white and our black notes. Now I'm using sharps for simplicity's sake. There are flats, but we're not going to get into those right now. Whenever we travel the distance from one note to the next, it's a half step. If we travel 2 notes, it is called a whole step. All right, now, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to be having our chromatic scale, which is A through G. Every letter gets a natural and a sharp except for B and E. You could think bacon and eggs, you could think bald eagle, bagels and English muffins, Bert and Ernie, whatever. Okay, so essentially we're going to have all of our notes, and at the very, very end, it is going to cycle back to the beginning. Now, we're going to use what's called our major scale formula, which is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. It's a movement-based formula that you apply to the chromatic scale. So we're going to start on A, and we're going to move in a whole step. So if we go from A and we go a whole step up, it's going to go to B. So we start on A, and then we go a whole step up, we go to B. A whole step up from B is C sharp. A half step up from C sharp is just to D. A whole step up from D is going to be E. A whole step from E is going to be F sharp. Whole step from F sharp is going to be G sharp, and then half step up is going to be back to A. This gives us what's called our major scale, and in this case it's our A major scale. You have an A, a B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. If we assign numbers to these, this would be the first, the second, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and the eighth, or the octave, notes of this major scale. From here, we're going to actually apply another formula. This is the major chord formula, in which we are going to take the first note, which is A, the third note, which is going to be C sharp, and the fifth note, which is E. So A, C sharp, and E. This is going to create for us our A major chord, also known as our A major triad. This same concept can be applied to each one of our strings. So on the A string, we start on the A note.
On the D string, we would start on the D note and we would move in the major scale formula. And again, from once we got the D major scale, we would then apply the first, third, and fifth note selections of that major scale to get the D major triad. Same thing with the G major scale, the B major scale, and so on and so forth. Be aware that if you have an alternate tuning, it does not matter. If you are in the alternate tuning, whatever that string is tuned to, that note is going to be the root note of that major scale, and that is going to be the note selection that is available to us with natural harmonics on that string. All of this is also found in detail in my book in chapter 2, and it details specifically theoretical keys, all the keys available to us, and then also different chord formulas that are going to come in handy as well for our harmonics that you can be able to study to understand.
If you made it to the end of this video, thanks for watching all the way through. And if you found this video useful, be sure to share this out to all your famous friends. And if you're independently wealthy, please feel free to donate unlimitedly. I'll wait. Are you still there?